Hello class. It's now time for us to get started with our Choices in History research paper. You're going to be given a list of topics to choose from about important decisions that were controversial throughout history, and you're going to be asked to evaluate the choices, the actions, and the consequences relating to the topic that you pick. The steps that you're going to take as you work on this project, first of all, will be to select a topic. You'll go to the link for the research paper information on your course page, and first of all, review the instructions, especially pay attention to the due dates. Make sure you meet all of those. And in your instruction document, one of the first things you're going to find in there is your list of topics. Look at the list of topics. Choose one of these decisions that you would be interested in analyzing and that you think you can decide that it was either a good decision or a bad decision, and prove that your evaluation is correct with the facts that you're able to find. So pick a topic. That'll be your first assignment. In addition to picking a topic, once you know what your topic is going to be, you'll need to make sure you have sources that can prove whatever your thesis is, your argument is about that particular historical decision. There is a link that you can look at which tells you how to select sources. And so before you choose your sources, review that information and consider what is a good academic source. You want to be sure that the sources you pick are college level, scholarly sources. You want to be sure you avoid sources like Wikipedia.com pages, which might be just very general information. You want to avoid web pages that might be very biased, that aren't from an analytical point of view. You want to be sure that you pick websites that are published by an expert in the area of that topic, that are collegiate websites, and there's information on that how-to page that will help you kind of decide what type of sources you want to look for. Once you've picked your topic and your sources, you will submit those together to me so that I can approve the topic that you've chosen and the sources that you've chosen. You'll need to make sure that you have a total of 5 sources minimum. You can have more if you wish. Of those 5 sources, 3 need to be a primary source. Now, you've got 2 different kinds of sources. Primary sources are original documents and eyewitness accounts, those that were involved in the decision or affected by the decision or just were eyewitnesses to the event. You need at least 3 of those. Now, in addition to that, you can have a number of other secondary sources. These would be historians and other summaries of the event that it's not an original account. Usually it's going to come from those who have analyzed the primary sources, and they're summarizing it for you or giving you their analysis of it. And you'll want to include some of those as well. So you'll send those to me, your topic and your sources. That'll be the first thing you'll do this week. The next thing that you'll do once you've sent in your topic and your sources, and you don't even have to wait for my email or my reply back approving your topic, you can go ahead and move on to this next step and then make changes if need be. But the next step is going to be to then write your thesis. Now, once you've looked at sources and read up, studied up on whatever the decision is you're analyzing, you'll need to make a decision. Are you going to argue that this choice was a good choice, or was it a bad choice? You'll have to evaluate it, and then you'll have to prove your point, that it was either good or it was bad. You can base that on the consequences, the results that came from it. You could also base it, regardless of the results, on some moral standard or legal standard that you feel like they set some kind of bad precedent or they violated people's rights in some way. But in some way you need to argue that this either was a good or a bad decision. And so you'll write a thesis, which is your argument. A thesis is a statement that you will prove. So write your thesis statement saying that you believe this decision was good or bad for whatever reasons it is that you believe. And then the evidence that you're going to use, you will include in the opening paragraph, which is your thesis paragraph. So you'd have in that opening paragraph, you might have a very, very short introduction there, and then a thesis statement, what you're going to prove, and then you're going to give me the outline of the several points that you think are going to prove that thesis statement. Now, if you look at the instructions that I gave you for how to formulate and defend a thesis, that document, if you will review that first, will help you kind of understand in more detail how to choose a thesis, how to defend that thesis, and what type of points you're going to want to use to back up your thesis. And once you've done that, that'll be the second thing you're going to send me, is your thesis statement along with an outline of the points that you will argue in your paper to prove your thesis. And most of that should be done this first week. Once you've completed that, the next part of the assignment is going to be to actually write your thesis paper. And so I do have more instructions to help you out in formulating or writing that. If you go back to where I gave you the instructions on how to formulate a thesis, really that one gives you not only how to come up with the thesis and the main points, but also gives you kind of the outline of the overall paper. You'll start with a topic paragraph, which is your thesis paragraph. The statement you're going to prove is in there. The main points you're going to use as your outline are in there, and they give you in order. You list them in order so that as you go through your paper, the first point you're going to talk about is whatever you said first in your thesis paragraph. Whatever point you made second to back up your thesis, that'll be the next thing that I find. So the order that your paper should be arranged in is you have your opening paragraph, which is your thesis paragraph. The thesis and the outline in order is there. Then you can have a paragraph or so, no more than a page. This is a very short paper, but give me a little bit of background information, kind of give the details, the setting, the event, what happened, what decision was made, what were the consequences. Very, very, very short summary. Then you're going to go point by point, as you had in the outline, and use your points, maybe a paragraph on each point, to prove why your evaluation is correct, why this was a bad decision or why this was a good decision, by giving good reasons that they did it, or by giving good outcomes or consequences because they did it. And then finally you're going to sum up with your conclusion in your closing paragraph. In the closing paragraph you should have, once again, your thesis restated, mention your main points, just summarized again very briefly, and give me your evaluation. Just kind of sum it all up. The final paragraph doesn't have to be extremely long. You've made the argument and proved everything in the body of the paper. So basically your last paragraph just sums it all up. And that will be submitted to me by whatever due date I've assigned to you. Now be sure you pay close attention to that due date. I also have instructions on the page on how to format the paper. Try to get it done 2 or 3 days in advance. That way if you end up with a last minute problem, that way if you have a problem with formatting, with some kind of technical difficulty, if there's a storm and the power goes out, and yes, I've had that happen to students before, I do not give you extra time for those things. Do it well in advance, so that if a problem comes up, you've still got a couple of days to work it out. If something happens at the last minute, there may not be time to fix the problem and you may miss the due date. So please do this well in advance of the due date. It is a hard deadline. I want you to do well, so please email me if you have questions. Good luck. Think hard about what it is that you choose to discuss and to analyze, and impress me with your skills.